Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back. I know we had planned to do this a week ago, but I'm really glad that we could reschedule. And thank you for joining us this morning. As chair of the Central Coast Regional District, I call this public hearing to order at 9:04 on Thursday, August 13th. This public hearing concerns Coola Valley Official Community Plan, Bylaw number 565, 2026. The proposed bylaw would adopt a new official community plan for electoral areas C, D, and E, including the accompanying map schedules, and would repeal the existing official community plan, Coola Valley Official Community Plan Designation Bylaw number 302 from 1998. The purpose of this hearing is to provide every person who believes that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw a reasonable opportunity to be heard, or to present a written submission on matters contained in the proposed bylaw. This is a statutory hearing. It's not a debate, an open house, or a meeting at which the board will make a decision. The role of the board here is to listen with an open mind and, where necessary, ask neutral questions for clarification. The merits of the bylaw will be debated and decided on later at an open board meeting. Notice of this hearing has been provided to the public, and copies of the proposed bylaw and related background material have been made available for inspection. Written submissions received by the stated deadline form part of the public record and will be identified by the corporate officer. Everything said or submitted at this hearing may become part of the public record. Participants should therefore avoid including any personal information that is not necessary to their comments. Once the hearing is formally closed, the board cannot receive or consider any further public submissions regarding this bylaw. This hearing is being held in person at the CCRD office and electronically through Microsoft Teams. Participants attending through Teams should remain muted until they are called upon and should use the raise hand function when they wish to speak. Staff will monitor both the room and the online meeting so that participants in either format have a fair opportunity to be heard. To ensure an orderly and fair hearing, I ask everyone to follow these procedures. Please direct all remarks through the chair and limit your comments to matters contained in bylaw number 565. When called upon, please state your name and indicate whether you are speaking on your own behalf or on the behalf of an organization. Please keep your remarks focused and reasonably concise. To ensure that everyone has a reasonable opportunity to be heard, each speaker will initially be provided up to 5 minutes. Speakers will be given an initial opportunity to speak before anyone is invited to speak a second time. I may ask a speaker to conclude if comments become repetitive, unrelated to the bylaw, disrespectful, or disruptive. Personal attacks, interruptions, and applause are not appropriate. Board members may ask questions to clarify a speaker's comments or the content of the proposed bylaw. Questions will be directed through the chair. There will be no cross-examination, rebuttal, or debate between speakers, board members, staff, or other participants. Anyone wishing to provide a written document during the hearing should give it to our corporate officer or send it through the method identified by staff before the hearing is closed. So Mr. Prime, please confirm for the record that the notice of this public hearing was given in accordance with the applicable requirements and advise whether any written submissions were received by the stated deadline.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can confirm that we did post notice accordingly through the procedure bylaw. We posted it on our Facebook website as well as on the public notice boards at the CCRD office. We've received 2 written correspondence. Both are within the agenda package that you have received. I will note here that while there's certainly everyone is aware of the New Hulk letter that was posted on Facebook, that was never, to the best of my knowledge, sent to the CCRD directly to staff or board.
Thank you very much. I will now ask our planner to provide a brief overview of the Bella Coola Valley Community Plan, Official Community Plan, Bylaw number 565, 2026. Following that overview, I will invite representations from the public, beginning with participants in the room and then participants attending through Microsoft Teams.
And
Oh.
Chair Kennedy, yeah, I believe that was for the previous one. Chris Rempel
I'm
is not
sorry.
here today. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't. Yeah.
That was on me.
Okay.
So.
No, I'm sure I should have reprinted. I was saving paper. Okay, no problem. Is there do we have a chance to do a brief overview? Perhaps Mr. Prime or Mr. Slingerland, I don't know if we can do just a quick overview of either like the purpose of the plan or kind of what how we got here today, basically.
Okay. Through the chair, I can take a bit of a stab at that. So the official community plan is the highest level planning document that local government does. It sets out a bit of a kind of a vision or a lodestar in regards to where community wants to go. And the CCRD has started this process in 2022 and had urban systems undertake that work, which involved community meetings in 2022-2023 and has advanced to the point now. It is not a zoning bylaw, but it does affect a future iteration or updates of the zoning bylaw. So that is a general overview of it. It has been available for public comment and review for a bit of time, and we're here today for the public hearing.
Great, well, thank you very much. Yes, 4 years in the making. So thank you very much. That's great. So I will now call on our speakers who are in the boardroom. And I don't have a great view. I did see Mr. Nestegard there. I don't know if anyone is speaking before him. Oh, yes. Yes.
Catherine Best will be first, and if you just want to go to the podium, you can speak from there.
Okay. Great. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, Ms. Best.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I prepared a question, so I'm just sort of frantically writing it as a comment, I suppose. Maybe I'll just read the question, and whether or not it can be answered, it might give some understanding of where I'm coming from. So this is in regard to 4.2.3.8.I, which is a line saying discouraging recreational trails that bisect or border farmlands. And that raised a bit of a red flag for me, just because recreational trails provide access beyond just hiking in the valley. They're for harvesting, for exploration, for cultural practices, and for a whole host of reasons that are really important to a lot of people. And I think the restriction of where they may be built the cost of that should be recognized. And I understand that agriculture is an important part of this plan, and I think that's wonderful. I'm really in favor of that. I'm looking at getting farm status myself. But I do think we need to be very, very careful about the restriction of general public access, especially because of how the valley runs. A lot of the valley could be either currently is or could easily become farmlands. We know a lot of it is in the ALR, and by restricting where the trails can be built, it restricts really like everything goes beside land that could be farmland or that is farmland currently. And I think we want to be really careful about restricting general public access to the land. I think this may speak more towards sort of a private property ownership like way of viewing our land use in the valley. And obviously interrupting agricultural land use would be a problem, but I don't see how recreational trails are currently doing that. I don't really see a justification for that in what we've seen. And I would like to see, I know some of this goes beyond the purview of the CCRD, but I would prefer as a society that we'd be moving more towards a freedom, like a right to roam way of looking at the land rather than a like parceling off. And I think especially the way that the valley has been parceled and the way that it's set up, this could potentially really restrict where we have access to in the in the public lands that go beyond the private lands. So that line concerned me. Sorry, I didn't end up asking my question, but that's fine. And I would like that to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you give me that line one more time so I can just make a
Sure.
note of it?
Yeah, 4.2.3.8.I.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, yeah, thank you for addressing the board today and for your comments.
Thank you.
So I
will be
believe,
next.
there we go. Mr. Nestegard, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I see a few problems looking through this plan. The one just mentioned was one of them. One of the other big problems, I think, is and I don't have the number, so if you want to look it up, you're going to have to look it up yourself. There's a line in there about UNDRIP and DRIPA. So basically, I think it says that the CCRD is going to move to implement UNDRIP and DRIPA. I don't know if you guys are aware of what's going on with our provincial government right now, but a bunch of UNDRIP, when the provincial government passed UNDRIP, a lot of people said, oh no, this is terrible. We shouldn't be doing this. And here's why. And then, the government said, oh no, this is good. This is great. This is progress. And then a few things started to happen and the provincial government said, well, I think we're going to have to repeal DRIPA. And then they said, oh, well, maybe we'll just amend it a little. And then they said, oh, we're not changing it at all. We're sticking with it. That was about a month ago. I don't know where they are on it now, and I don't think the board knows. So I think it would be a huge mistake to put it into our policy, into our official plan, that we're going to follow a legislation that, who knows what's going to happen with it. The provincial government doesn't know right now. So for that reason, and I don't know, I think you're going to hear a few other people today, hopefully. I don't know where they are. I thought they would be here in person. Maybe they'll be online, but I've heard a lot of people. I've heard from the chief counselor. I've heard from other counselors of the Nuhawk Nation that they're not very happy about this plan. It mentions reconciliation. I don't know how many times. It doesn't really mention truth and it mentions, I think, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But it doesn't mention the word truth, maybe. I think that's the only time the word truth is in there. So, yeah, I think this board has done enough over the last bunch of years. And this board is on its way out in like 8 weeks or something. So I think this board should just back off of this official community plan and leave it to the next board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nestegard, for your comments. I see a hand up in the Teams here, and I believe it's Mr. Weber, I think, and I'm not sure, yeah, how we are doing the list of speakers, but perhaps oh, I see. Okay, we've got the council, perhaps.
Thank you, Chair Kennedy. I just want to mention a few things. You know, although we're here and participating, this is not consent to move forward. And there has been letters. There has been letters sent to yourselves, including yourself, Chair Kennedy, including federal representation, including provincial representation regarding this process. There has been opposition from Stalin. There has been opposition from elected leadership. And for this work to start in 2022, Newcock was not present at that time. There was no collaboration on this process. This process really is challenging our title and right. This process is not inclusive of our way. So there has been opposition to this process. Despite us hearing out what this process is, we are not aware of this process. We're learning about this process. This is not our way. That's a fair misrepresentation of us, Newcock people. OCP is not our way. So it's a misrepresentation to say we've been involved. We've been involved to hear about it, but you've also heard our official opposition against it. So although we're here participating, we are here saying we oppose this process. You know, we rely on the medicines of this land. We have no access to many places in this valley. No access. That's harvesting, medicines, hunting, mushroom picking. Our way of life has been challenged. So it's a misrepresentation to say we've been engaged. And there's a lot of words around reconciliation, working with Newcock Nation, but that work has been unfair. We're brought to the table at the 11th hour, and we don't know a darn thing about this process. So I just want to open up with those comments because I have my staff here, I've elected leadership here, some stalldom here. This is a misrepresentation of Newcock Nation. Inclusive of Newcock leadership and Newcock people has to start from the beginning. We don't know about this process. This is foreign to us. This is not our traditional way.
Thank you, Mr. Weber, for your comments. Is there anyone else there that would like to speak, or should I go through speakers on the Teams? Okay, I'm going to I'll watch for hands and then I will, oh, I see a hand, but I see the microphone is muted. I don't know if I can't hear anything.
Sorry, Chair Kennedy, I'm not seeing who has their hand up.
Oh, it was Mr. Weber put his hand up, but
Okay.
but then the microphone was muted, so I wasn't sure. But Mr. Weber, is there someone else there that would like to speak as well?
Yes, Chief Spooner.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a little curious to, to figure out what what would be considered consultation from the CCRD board of directors. I think a quick meeting is really not that. And once, you know, the statement that Coola had made about, you know, proper consultation, you know, proper, you know, working with the nation, you know, and you know, and that starts right from the beginning. You know, I think that having like picking members off the street or whatever have you, there's got to be you know, and I don't really care for the word consultation. You know, I don't honestly think it really works for, you know, what we have. Like, it's got to be, there's got to be a word in our language that says that we are actually working together, that we see eye to eye on this, and that this is moving forward in a good way. You know, that's the work. That has to be the work. You know, so I guess the question would be is like, you know, my expectation is that, you know, that we are and should be working together. And I think that got lost along the way. I know that the intention is good relationships. You know, and I think that that's something that we can work on. But I would also ask that you know, maybe this work has to continue when the new board of directors is elected. Because it's I don't believe, and I'd be curious as to what Director Hall has, you know, some comments that he might have, that he might add. I'm not sure where Heltic is on this. I'm not sure where Weekenu is on this, because we're all in the same area. But that's all I have to say for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief Schooner. So at this time, like it isn't, we're not exactly directing questions at the board. We're here just to listen right now. I don't know if there's anything that Director Hall does want to say, but yeah, right now our role is as open-minded listeners in this forum. But I do see Director Hall's hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted a brief acknowledgement of Chief Schooner's and their admin staff, as well as their elected leadership with regards to this concern. I know I worked with Chief Schooner in the past regarding relationship development. We worked on emergency planning and management and stuff like this, where things had gone very well for a while. Things drop off the board, and we've stated it verbally in the past, when your agreements and your discussions are only as good as the people that are representing you and ensuring these things move forward. I do understand the concerns being placed forward, and I do recommend, you know, us working together going forward. The nation has issues, of course, with regional district decisions and whatnot, considering, of course, one of the major issues is the my area for Area B is just my reserve proper, so it doesn't really make for a fulsome relationship as well with the regional district. Although my stance, and I know that Chief Schooner and I had worked on many documents that were documents to try and state a better relationship and work toward a better relationship. Comments were made about UNDRIP and DRIPA, and local government, the provincial government signed an agreement, certainly, and it made the regional districts and municipalities have it asked them to push forward with no key elements in place or no guidance to put those elements into place. So in conversation with Chief Schooner, I think, yeah, we need to have a more fulsome understanding and discussion regarding this. I know that we also wanted to implement and put some weight behind legislative reform. And that's another huge discussion that needs to happen as well. I appreciate your comments and concerns, New Hope Nation staff, as well as elected leadership. I do want to work toward continuing improving relationships with nations, and that's key and partial to some very significant events that have happened in the regional district. And again, we need to ensure that the staff that we hand these tasks to are fully acknowledged and educated to move things forward. I hope this discussion will continue, Chief Schooner, and also the current regional district board. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Director Hall. I'm looking for the next person who would like to speak. I see a hand up there, the initials JN.
Hello, thank you for giving time for responses. I understand that this is not something you can comment on right now, but it's just a hearing. Yeah, just like you to listen to this. So I believe there's been some communication failures to the community. I have about 7 issues here I'm going to quickly go through. Survey participation, 112 responses from the community between February and March 2023, had a very low response rate from the population. So I'm unclear how this represents the Valley. Curtis mentioned at the start of this that this OCP represents the vision of the community. That can't be true if that's the facts. Business engagement, 35 businesses were contacted, 12 responded. This is a 34% response rate, which were mostly, which is an underrepresentation of the community. The OCP visibility, there was an engagement week held in May between the 1st and the 4th in 2023. One single week of engagement window does not reach all residents, and there's no indication of any follow-up. The document access, the OCP is 90 pages and is a dense technical document, and there's no evidence of a plan or to put plain language or summaries for accessible formats with public-friendly versions. Ongoing updates, Section 6, implementation strategy outlines actions, but there's no public timeline or progress tracking mechanism described for these residents to monitor OCP implementation. The meeting accessibility, multiple drop-in sessions were mentioned at Co-op at the Legion Hall. These were incredibly minimal, and they have geographic constraints noted in engagement. There's youth throughout the Valley that struggle to get access to transportation, and having someone posted at the Co-op for a few weeks does not count as accessibility. You need to do better than that. Feedback transparency, the key engagement themes listed in section 1.5, there's no indication how specific resident comments shaped final policies. So the feedback loop is not visible. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nash, for your comments. I am looking for our next speaker. If there's any member of the gallery online that would like to speak, please raise your hand and I will be sure to call on you. I see Mr. Or I see the hand up for Mr. Weber again in the New Hope Chambers. There we go. Go ahead.
Thanks again, Chair Kennedy. I'm all for working together, but that collaboration needs to be often and very, very early. Curtis and I meet quarterly, and there's support from leadership to meet with yourselves, but we need to do better strongly. we need to pick up our motivation. We need to do better. This is not working for us. If we're working together, we're working together early. We were not aware of this process even beginning. And it came to our table, I want to say a year and a little bit ago. Presentation was made. As I shared, we're not aware of this process. There's no orientation on this process. We don't know. And there's a lot of this, looking through the schedules, there's a lot of, pet houses, burial grounds, CMTs, ancestral villages that you're talking about here. Within the maps here and the schedules. That's what we're talking about. Medicines, harvesting. We need to do better. Obviously. So I fully support, this process being paused. This is not proper engagement with Newcall leadership. In order for this process to move forward, you need consent. That's reconciliation. You can't take our opposition and move forward with it. That's not working together. That's not reconciliation. If we move this forward, this is not working together. We're here to help you define what that looks like. We are available and committed to that. But this is not proper process. We can't move forward without engaging with Newcall leadership, Newcall people, and ultimately having consent. Then we move forward. We're willing to reshare those letters. But that's official opposition. That there shouldn't be a restriction on sending it on based on dates, deadlines. Those responses should be heard often and available through any platform. That's fair process. Right.
Thank you again, Mr. Weber. Other speakers? Okay, I'm going to call for other speakers. I'm not seeing any other hands up at this time. Oh,
Mr. Weber got to speak. Could I bring up another point, Chair Kennedy?
Yes. So yeah, now that we've called for other speakers, I haven't heard any. Yes, you may speak a second time, Mr. Nestegard. Go ahead.
I don't know who was the speaker online. Is it Mr. Nash? Yes. Mr. Nash brought up a point that the page is 90 page. The plan is 90 pages long. Well, it's actually 140 pages long, 150 pages long. Maybe Mr. Prime could tell us. The link for this meeting, for the agenda package, where you can go and look at the plan so that you can provide meaningful input, it's 90 pages. There's no schedule B, C, D, E, or F. The full plan, the full 140 something page plan is available. You just have to go through the gears with Mr. Prime to get it. So I wonder how many people have seen the full plan? And how many people think that the 90-page plan is the plan? So how do we provide meaningful input without the plan? How do we do that? Well, we don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nestergaard. Okay, so I am calling for additional speakers. If there's anyone in the room or participating through Teams who wishes to speak regarding Bella Coola Valley Official Community Plan, Bylaw number 565, 2026. For a second time, is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding the proposed bylaw? For a third and final time, is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding the proposed bylaw? I see a hand up, Mr. Weber there, if we can enable his microphone and camera.
Are we on?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Chief Schooner again. I just you know, I think there was a lot of gaps that you know, it goes back to even when I was on the board. You know, and the lack of communications, the lack of resources, you know, financial, even going back as far as financing reconciliation that we brought to UBICC. But you know, it really identifies a lot of gaps, and that includes the nation as well. You know, where communications and lack of resources is you know, for CCRD as well, is that we don't necessarily have the expertise or the resources, meaning that finances to have communications, you know, or maybe that is a real gap between us right now. You know, and I think that identifying that you know, something that, you know, potentially that we can work together on, or maybe it's something that you guys can work on your end and we can work on our end. But I do believe that you know, the intention is there, but right now that we just don't have the resources. Maybe that's what it is. But I do know that the process hasn't, you know, for us that we can't agree to this OCP. We can't right now. I think it needs more work. It needs more work from us, especially if it's designated a Bella Coola Valley OCP. You know, and just one of the words that I see in here, and of course it says draft, but before Figure 1 Bella Coola Valley OCP planning, it should be noted that since the CCRD has no jurisdiction on Newcock reserve lands, you know, which is you know, for me, you know, that is a very colonial term. You know, that where we only have say on reserve lands. You know, that brings us back to the Indian Act. Brings us back to a time where you know, our hunting grounds were taken, our fishing grounds were taken, you know, that we weren't allowed off reserve. You know, that we were no better than caged animals. You know, that's what it was like for my people. Our people. You know, that we weren't allowed anywhere else on the land that we used to be free on. That we used to go everywhere and harvest our medicines, hunt, fish. That we weren't allowed to walk off 4 square kilometers when we used to run free in the whole entire area. You know, so I really have a lot of issues, you know, with some of the language in here. You know, I think it's very, it really needs a lot of work. You know, they talk about partnerships. You know, and I would love to see it get to be a partnership at some point, but right now it's not there. It's just not. Like in the language in this document is, you know, it needs to be changed. It needs to be changed. But
Thank you, thank you, Chair, pardon me. Thank you, Chief Schooner, for your comments. It is very hard to you know, not, yeah, to not that I want to argue with anyone, but we are just here to listen, and yeah, it is hard to not engage that way. And so there was a comment of like what will happen next. And so after all of the speakers have been heard, then we will close the public hearing. Most likely there will be a special meeting called when the board decides what to do next after this hearing. We are no longer able to receive comments. And so, you know, it is, yeah, the board has to have heard everything that they can at this hearing, and then decide at the special meeting what happens next with this process. So yes, once again, we are just here to listen, and I know that it's hard, and it doesn't mean that we aren't listening and engaged with the speakers, but unfortunately we can't, yeah, answer questions at this time. I see, I see Director Hall, I see your hand up. Is there something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, just to bring up some other issues too with regards to communications and whatnot. There had been issues even with the previous board and communications with all of the nations within the regional district. It's not something we had a lot of control over. Like Chief Schooner had stated, there are issues with funding. Financing reconciliation document was one that was trying to address that, especially for a regional district that's not coupled with a municipality. It doesn't have that additional tax requisition info, or I'm sorry, input. The engagement dollars that are set up by the federal government for our local governments to engage with nations is minuscule. It works for a lot of municipalities or regional districts, again, that are coupled with regional districts, or sorry, municipalities next to them. They have more funds, like Snuneymuxw was doing very successful for a long time, and they actually had employed an individual to have that engagement piece. Other regional districts and whatnot, like Alberni Clayoquot, I believe that's what it's called. Sorry if I'm incorrect on that, but they have a very good engagement piece where even their chief is also on the board for the regional district. So stuff like that. The limitations of the Local Government Act and the Indian Act really in the past had made a clear separation between the two. Things like that needed to be engaged. Some of that was also looked at and addressed through the local election reform. I can't remember the title. Sorry, I apologize. I did want to share another conversation maybe with Chief Schooner. I keep I worked with him for several years, so I keep on thinking he's the director still. But yeah, I hope we have some conversations seriously moving forward. I'm in support of the nations. We've tried to initiate and incorporate the fact that any agreements that come around, such as the one with the internet, and they needed to engage and have approvals by each of the nations that they're working with too, and we try to make sure that they promote that within the regional districts as well as ours, to make sure engagement is fulsome and informed and cooperative. But yeah, I I'm strongly working, and we need to work together. I appreciate everybody's words here and everybody's comments and concerns. They're fair concerns, and across the board, let's work together. There's so many things that can happen if we work together, and there's more success when nations work together with local governments and provincial governments, federal governments. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hall. I have a speaker on the Teams here, initials KG. We will enable your microphone, and when you're ready, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you,
morning.
Chair Kennedy. This is Kim. I work for the Newhawk Nation. I just wanted to reiterate and check in regarding the next steps. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for clarifying that the next steps on behalf of your board is to have a special meeting. What steps are going to be ensured to ensure that the official opposition from the Newhawk Nation is brought up at that meeting? Is it up to the chair and the CAO to craft that special meeting agenda? And how much notice is given for that special meeting in your process?
So I think that special meetings require 48 hours public notice. I could be wrong. Yeah, once again, we are just here to listen, just to be clear, but I feel like that is, yeah, a procedural piece. So there will be public notice, and yeah, from there, the board, takes into account all of the feedback that we have received from, all the other parties, and then decides what to do from there. So that it is up to the board.
It is up to the board to craft the special meeting agenda.
No, that isn't what I stated.
Okay.
That it is up to the board what we do next, but the agenda, of course, is made by staff. But that will be the item on the agenda, is to decide what to do next. Yeah.
And
Okay.
will the item from the Newhawk Nation be on that agenda, considering all of the concerns that were brought forward here?
I can't speak to the agenda. We are here to listen, and we have, been listening with open minds to the comments that have been made here, and all comments will be taken into consideration, including written comments that have been submitted that are in the agenda as well. And the board will be taking all of those comments into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I am looking for anyone else who would like to speak. I'm calling a second time for, I maybe see a hand in the boardroom, perhaps. If there's a hand in the boardroom, I just see it out the side of my screen.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute everybody. My name is Catherine in the boardroom. You can speak here.
Catherine, if you would like to speak again, you can step right up to the podium there,
Okay,
and we will hear you.
Thank you for hearing me one more time. I neglected in the first time I shared a concern with the plan, and I understand that this is an ongoing process. It sounds like it's not a done deal. There's a lot more that needs to happen here from listening to many of the speakers in the room. and online. But I do want to highlight as we go forward with the plan, some of the things that really stood out to me as really good in the plan, just so that as this process continues, those things can be held on to. So the advocacy for more housing availability, really, really important, especially focusing on those key areas where development makes sense and is accessible. A lot of the aspects of the agricultural aspects of the plan, including supporting like processing in the valley and things like that for people with livestock. I thought that was really important. I recognize the acknowledgement of the many, many organizations that provide volunteer services in the valley, because I think that's a lot of how this valley runs, is with people just volunteering time, and a recognition of that from the CCRD, I think is really meaningful for those groups. I appreciated the aspect of support for existing emergency services, including the possibility of providing like access to CCRD land to support, again, volunteer services that may be providing some of those emergency services that we all rely on in the valley. And I understand that in putting these things into the plan, it opens us up for access to grants, which is, from my understanding, a lot of how the CCRD is able to make anything happen in the valley. And so as we go forward and as you work with the nation and with all the stakeholders on this plan, I just want to say that those really stood out to me as really important parts of the plan. I heard some of the things that were talked about in the consultation program or process come into the plan there. And I hope that as this goes forward, those things get held on to, because that's really, really important to me, and I think many people in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Best. Thank you for your comments. I see Mr. Nash's hand there. We will enable your microphone.
Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to kind of speak back what I think I've heard, and just want to make sure I have the right understanding. So the next steps, as I understand it, is that you're going to have a special meeting, and the CCRD board will decide what they want to do regarding the OCP. You cannot take any more input after this hearing. So it does seem like this is happening with or without us, and us being the collective us of the whole valley, and which is concerning. So I thought I'd just say that.
Thank you, Mr. Nash, for your comments. All right, any other speakers? I'm asking for a second time. Any other speakers? For a third and final time, anyone who would like to speak regarding this bylaw? Hearing no further speakers, I declare the public hearing for Bella Coola Valley Official Community Plan Bylaw number 565, 2026 closed at 9:56 a.m. The public hearing record is now closed. Thank you so much for everyone who participated. And yes, the board is listening to your comments. It's very hard to not, to not speak, but we are listening, and that is a really important part, is that this is your turn to speak to us. So I really thank you for everyone who participated in this hearing, and the notice for the special meeting will be posted, and then the board will consider everything that has been discussed today. So thank you for joining us, whether it's online or in person. All comments will be considered. Thank you.